In this video, we're going to be doing something that I should have done a very, very, very long time ago, and I apologize. It is an actual install video of our Davidson Audio tweeter bridges for the 2019 to current Indian Challenger and Pursuit motorcycles. Let's explain what these are. So these are our custom Davidson Audio made tweeter mount bridges, and they're gonna specify, we have two different versions. One right here is for the M075T tweeter. It's a slimline tweeter. This is from Cicada Audio. Diamond Audio makes one as well. And then over here, this is for the same mount, but this one is for the Beyma tweeter or the NVS Audio high-res tweeter. The biggest difference with this is we include two different colored spacers for this. The smaller ones are for the NVS Audio, which are black, and then we have white ones that come in the package for the Beyma tweeters. They'll work with either one, that's the only difference. So these are the two different styles depending on what you, the customer, want to install on your bike. And they install the exact same way, same orientation, same connectors, same routing, if you get them pre-set up and done by us. But if you buy just the tweeter mounts themselves, the tweeter bridges, you'll get just the metal piece. Like for the M075T tweeters, you'll get just the tweeter bridge itself and the hardware. So it's gonna come with 8 screws, machine screws, with 8 nylon lock nuts and 2 of the brackets. That's what's gonna come with this. No tweeter, you have to buy that separately now. And if you go with the high-res or Hershey Kiss tweeter, it's going to come with the tweeter mount bridge itself, this backing plate, and 2 sets of spacers. That way you can install either of these tweeters and make sure they fit inside your fairing. The reason we did this, I'm really, what's the wording I want to use? I want to be very, very cautious with what I'm about to say. So, as you all know, we offer in all of our packages in the Challengers and Pursuits, primarily, we use a lot of the Cicada Audio CH style speaker. That is a 6.5-inch mid with a compression horn built into the middle of it. So essentially, it's one of these styles. Now these do play differently. The high res is different than the shallow, but essentially it's like combining a mid and one of these into the same speaker. The reason we go with that is just because it's a much easier install for y'all. As you'll see, there's not much that goes into this. It's not very difficult, but I'm also saying that as an installer perspective, okay? The reason that we made these was so that way for people that want to absolutely maximize the mid-bass response of the fairing speakers, we will separate these. Now, the reason for that is when you separate the tweeter from the mid, it gives you a more surface area of that mid, which allows you to get more mid bass out of that speaker. Now, this is where I want to caution and just clarify. I'm not saying that if you go with a mid and tweeter, it's going to be like, holy crap, it sounds like I have 6.5-inch subs and a tweeter in my Honda Civic. That's not how this works. What I'm saying is it will give you the best chance to get the most mid and high out of that same speaker location by giving us maximum surface area of the cone of that 6.5-inch mid. Is it a difference? Yes, you can notice it. It does have a little bit more mid than a component like the CH is, but when it comes to our setups, we'll get into the whole tuning spectrum. We still wire these to the mids, and we're able to tune them still differently in the DSP separately. I mean, that's why we do all of this, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We will do a full explanation video, the best that I can, of audio tuning, why we tune it, why you want to do a DSP in these bikes, and why we choose to do it. But that's not this video. We're going to stick with the installation process of these tweeter mount bridges. I'm just going to show you installing one of them, how we go about it with our speaker wiring, how these go on here, the orientation of them, and we'll show you how all that's done on our shop bike, which is a 2020 Indian Challenger. As y'all know, if you've been watching the channel, this is what we started the channel with. So let's show you what our pre-install and tune setups look like, I'll go ahead and install one on the bike, and then we'll let you see them for yourselves. So here is an example of a pre-set up, ready to install fairing. This is what would be part of your fairing package, okay? So for example, like you would have this 6.5-inch mid, which is the OG CM65. Now they're carbon fiber, a different cone in the middle. But in your pre-set up and tune package, you would get this, and then you would get the speaker wiring and your selection of tweeters. So let's focus on our speaker wire first. As you can see, this speaker wire is black. This is red black. If you know anything about Davidson audio, we do like to differentiate from left to right. So red black is going to be your right side. The solid black is going to be your left side. And also right here you have colored bands, white and gray. It's just we really like to take the opportunity to make sure it's easy as possible for y'all to install. And even further, wire ferrules on here for negative and positive to make it easier. So here you'll notice on this, these are the two terminals that will screw onto the CM speaker. And again, red positive, black negative. And then here we even put a small band of red and black on here so you don't mix it up. Then in here is what we in-house make, a in-house crossover network, which then comes out to the speaker connection for the tweeter. This is a XT, I'm going to butcher this, it's not a 90 or a 60, I think it's an XT30. I will try to drop what it actually is while I'm saying this so y'all know. And we differentiate these, so these sides are the male pins, and then this is the female, which will really get people confused. When I first started doing this, I did. You would think because this one goes inside of that, this would be the female, this is the male, but it's not. You have male pins in here and then females on this side. Deutsch connectors and WeatherPet connectors are all done this exact same way. It's a little confusing, but when you start doing it, you understand. And then these are keyed, so they only go in one way. So it's super, super easy, super clean. And then back to this one. This one's already been pre-set up. We've gone ahead, soldered on the XT, Tessa taped it up, shrink tube. And one thing that I really, really, really want to press on right here, so everybody pay attention to this part, where our mounting bolts are here. So when this is actually put in, you'll put our spacers here, you'll loosely start these screws and bolts. You'll take the nut off the back of the tweeters, the same for the Beyma, same for the NVS Audio High Res. You'll feed it through there and you'll screw it on. You want to make sure you torque this one down first, then torque these with your Allen in your socket, tighten these down. And then what I like to do is take a pair of Lyman's pliers or the blunt nose with a cutter on the backside, and I'll lob these three off and then use a sander to flush them, as you can see, because we are so tight and close to our mid that we want to make sure when we install the tweeter bridge like this, we get maximum clearance here from the cone. So that is huge. So please, if you buy our tweeter bridges and decide to do this yourself, please, please, please make sure that you clean these off before installing them, because I'd really not like to get a call that you damaged your mid and that you're upset with me, because obviously we take a lot of pride in our product and I don't want to damage any of your guys' stuff. Over to the 075T tweeters, again, flush mount. These ones are super, super easy to install. You simply take your tweeter, you drop it in, use our included hardware, bolt it in, and you're good to go. This is an example of our pre-installed and tuned version. So we've soldered your wires to it, shrink tube, Tessa taped up, XT connector, Tessa tape, and yes, I was correct. These are XT30s, so I was right. But if you decide to do this yourself, it's not a big deal. The only thing I will like to tell people is when we orient these, we go across. So what we always like to do is make sure that the logo is facing down where we're exiting the wire, because like this one is going to be on the clutch side because the wire exits up here. This is going to be the brake side. So what I like to do is make sure that the logos are facing down the same area. Personal preference, as you can understand. If you talk to Bill, he knows I'm a stickler for attention to detail. And I like to make sure that that's oriented like that versus a logo here, here, or here. It really bugs me. It's just a small, small detail. You get our pre-set up and tuned, this is what it comes with. If you decide to buy just our brackets, You're getting just the brackets and the hardware. You're not getting any of the wiring, no tweeters, it's just simply the bracket. These are illustrations to show you what a pre-installed and tuned setup would look like. That way it can help you understand if you're going to go this route, if you've already gotten this, how to install it, what it looks like. And I'm going to tell you right now, sounds amazing. Maybe eventually we're going to do this. Probably on Bill's bike, we'll change his up. I don't know. We'll see. Let's show you. I'm not going to go through the full install process of this because we already have a complete audio system on this, and I'm not going to take it all apart. I'm sorry. I've shown you how a passive fairing harness goes. I simply want to show you the install process of just the speaker wire. Now let me preface again. Disregard the XT90 connectors that we have in here. Actually, these are 60s. We didn't have the 30s yet, so that's why this is still going to stay in here. Just please disregard this beautiful speaker wire that we have in here. So again, here's our speaker wire harness. The wire ferrules all the way over here go to the amplifier. This XT30 goes to our tweeter, and the two spades go to the mid. So what I need you all to do is you're going to feed the speaker wire up through and then pull the XT30 through the speaker hole, and only this portion is going to stay in your enclosure. So I'll do that real quick. You're going to feed it up through like I said. All right, that's going through, and then we're going to feed up our XT30. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but again, disregard the other speaker wire, please. So what we like to do is make sure, if you can see right here, our tweeter or crossover network is going to nestle right down here at the bottom. That way you've got plenty of room. You can plug your speaker in and then push it down. What I always like to tell people is when you put these terminals on your speaker, I always like to do them to where this part, the crimp part, faces the speaker, because when you put them on, the terminals, we like to bend them at a 90 so they go straight back. Make sure you get complete clearance. So those are going to go in there. And then if you come around here, so right here is our XT30 connector. Now, again, disregard this. You would have these two through here, and you would take your grommet and you would feed it over both of them and press it in there to seal it back up. And the reason we do this is because this would go back to your amplifier. And then this one, when we install the tweeter bridge, your tweeter wire is going to come up right through here, and it's going to allow us to do an external connection right here. That way, if it ever had to be disconnected, we can just pull the fairing off, disconnect it, take your speakers out, and you're good to go. So let me get the tools that I need. We're going to start putting the speaker in. That way y'all can see it, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side with both tweeters installed. Let's go ahead with the install process. Again, our speaker wire is in the enclosure. This is where you would put your speaker right about here. You'd make your wire terminal connections. So again, you would have the crimped portion of it facing down, because once you set these two terminals, you would bend the wire up so the terminals come straight out like this. It just gives you a little bit more clearance. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the speaker in, and our tweeter bridges go from the top right to the bottom left, and on the other side it's the top left to bottom right. So what we want to do is we want to start these two screws, the top left one and the bottom right one. Just loosely start them. Whenever you go to install anything, you don't want to tighten one down fully, because then that throws everything off. So we're just going to get this one started. So those just started loosely. What we're going to do is we're going to take, and our tweeter wire should be up over the bridge and go up. And the reason for that, I know it doesn't look the best, but we want to make sure we have as much clearance here and we don't hit the surround. So what we have to do is we have to feed this up this cavity, and then on the back side, if you look right here, you'll see how it comes up. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plug this in so that way we don't lose that wire back down that spot. So as you can see, that tweeter wire is now plugged in. So that way we have a good solid connection, and we'll go back to the front. And then we'll pull a little bit of the slack back. That way we've got plenty of wire coming back over. Now, I got it all tangled up. Sorry. There we go. So mine has been modified, my fairing, so yours, you won't have that big of a slit. You'll just have to route it up through. And this is one of the biggest things you have to watch out for. So you want to make sure that our tweeter bridge is going to span the gap completely. And if you can see, my mount is just about there. But if these two parts contact the surround at all, what you want to do is just take it and flex it the opposite way just a little bit. And what that does is it flattens it and makes it wider. That way, now our tweeter bridge spans that complete distance and doesn't come anywhere near the surround. And this just uses the OEM screws. You don't have to go out and buy new screws. These work just fine. So that's what it's going to look like. Excuse the push-up on our speaker. We've got tape on this one, so it's holding it out a little bit. But the install process is what I wanted to show y'all. So again, real quick, you want to make sure that this tweeter mount right here does not contact the surround, that this is bent out far enough, that way it clears it. Then you also want to test fit your grill to make sure that this does not contact the grill. The reason we did it in this orientation is because the Indian grill comes up and like bulges up right here and then comes back down. So this will be like millimeters away from that grill. It's super tight fit, but it does clear. Just make sure you test fit it. And if it does contact, just push down on this, stretch it out a little bit further. It'll bring the tweeter closer to the mid and it'll clear. And again, you're going to route the wiring up here, back to the back to plug it in, and you want them diagonal like this on both sides. If we take a step back to the back of the bike, you'll see how the tweeters go in towards the rider. That's the best way for us to get the max amount of clearance for these, and that's how they're going to look. We did the 075T style tweeter over here, which is a shallow mount horn tweeter, and then we have the high res or Hershey Kiss tweeter on this side, just to give you all an idea of how these tweeters look when they're actually installed on the bike. That's it for this install. I just want to touch base real quick on a few key things to make sure everybody understands what this product is, how it's used, and why you would want it. Real quick, if you buy just our tweeter mounts, again, it comes with no speakers, no wiring whatsoever. It's just the two tweeter mounts and the required hardware for that style tweeter. And again, we have two style tweeters. Sorry, I was trying to give you four, I don't know, two. The 075T from Cicada or from Diamond Audio, the shallow horn mounted tweeter, or the Hershey Kiss from Beyma or Envious Audio high-res tweeter. You're going to have those. And again, with Beyma, you're going to use our white or translucent colored spacer, or for the Envious Audio high-res, the black spacers. They'll both be included in that kit, so that way you have both. And again, the reason you may want to consider this is if you want the maximum opportunity for the most mid-bass in your fairing. And again, I preface this with saying it's not like, holy cow, mind-blowing amount of mid-bass. It is an improvement over the CHs, but it's not to say that one speaker is better than the other. It's application specific. You feel free to reach out to us. I'll help you decide which one's for you. And it sounds amazing, and it just gives you that little bit more. It also makes you stand out from the other people. Just saying, I like it. We'll probably switch up Bill's bike in the future with it. The routing of the wiring has to go over the bracket, goes up that side slit on both sides, gets plugged in underneath the fairing, and the XT connector goes back out the OEM routing of the hole with our speaker wire, and you put the grommet around both. Please do not drill an extra hole in your enclosure here. You don't need any more holes. There's no modification required besides to fit the mid speaker. So for example, if you use like a Hertz SV165 Neo mid-range speaker, there's no modification. It pretty much drops in. I would still recommend flapper wheeling the speaker opening, helps it fit a little bit better. If you're going to use the CMs, same process as our install video we did with the CH style speakers. Same modifications are required. From there, it's just making sure, again, orientation down towards the rider at an angle, route it so that way the bracket doesn't touch the surround, wires go over the bracket and back up, alleviates the surround. I guess what I'm saying is make sure that the wiring doesn't touch the surround of the speaker, that the bracket doesn't touch it, and then also just make sure that you shave the back of our high-res or Beyma Hershey Kiss 2-eater bracket to make sure you get the most clearance. So please, please make sure you're test fitting these. Make sure that they don't contact your mid or the grill. If you have to, slightly bend the tweeter bridge arms out. That will flex the mount out a little bit and then allow it to sit a little bit closer. But just please, please, please do me a favor. Test fit it as many times as you can before you go bolting everything in and damage something. And then last thing I'll say is we showed you an example of what a pre-tuned and installed setup is from Davidson Audio. So if you decide to get this complete package ready to install, that's what you're going to see there. So that's just one benefit of having us pre-set it up for you. We make it as simple as possible, save you all a bunch of time and massive headaches installing your own system. Let's wrap this thing up. Thank you again for y'all watching the videos. Thank you for all the love and the support you've had for Davidson Audio and our channel here. We absolutely appreciate it. We can't wait to show y'all what 2025 is about to bring for the Indian motorcycles. We're already on top of Indian releasing the new Power Plus version of the Chieftain and the Roadmaster. We're already on top of it. We're going to be releasing products for that very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And again, I'm Brandon with Davidson Audio, located here in beautiful Panama City, Florida. If you're looking for the best aftermarket audio solution for your Indian, Harley, car, truck, vehicle, period, make sure you come check us out. We'd love to help you all. God bless all of you. Have a great day.